Every year on Halloween, when the air feels a little heavy and the world seems just a little closer to the other side, people remember a man who made a career out of cheating death. Harry Houdini, born Eric Weiss in Budapest. He wasn't just a magician, he was a force. The kind of performer who could break out of locked trunks, escape handcuffs underwater, and make entire theaters hold their breath at once. For more than 20 years, he defied logic, science, and fear itself. And then, on Halloween Day 1926, death finally caught up. By that time, Houdini was one of the most famous people on Earth. His Chinese water torture cell act made him a legend. He'd hang upside down in a glass tank filled with water, his feet locked in iron stocks. The tank held more than 250 gallons, about 946 liters, and he'd stay submerged there for over 3 minutes. People in the crowd fainted, others cried, and yet every time Houdini burst free, soaked, gasping, but alive. It looked so dangerous, so final, that it created a myth that never died, that Houdini drowned performing the stunt. Interestingly, he didn't. That part's pure fiction, and it was helped along by the 1953 Hollywood movie Houdini with Tony Curtis, which showed him trapped underwater. And the truth was far less theatrical, but no less tragic. In the early 1920s, Houdini took on a new mission. After World War I, grief, it was everywhere. Thousands of families, they lost loved ones. Mediums and fortune tellers started holding seances, promising messages from the dead for a fee. Houdini, who'd lost his mother and carried that loss like a scar, started exposing them one by one. He'd show how they did it. Hidden wires, glowing paint, trick tables that rapped on cue. He even testified before Congress to outlaw spirit fraud. But privately, he told his wife Bess that if anyone could cross over and send a message back, it would be him. They even created a secret code, the phrase that would prove his spirit was real. Rosabelle, believe. Then came October 1926. Houdini was in Montreal, Canada, performing at the Princess Theatre. After a show, a student named J. Gordon Whitehead came backstage. He asked if it was true that Houdini could take any punch to the stomach. And before Houdini could brace himself, the kid hit him. They hit him hard, and he did it several times in a row into the lower abdomen. The blows ruptured his appendix. Houdini didn't know how bad it was. He ignored the pain, boarded a train to Detroit, and kept performing. Witnesses said that he was pale, sweating, doubled over during his last show. He collapsed before the curtain call. Doctors at Grace Hospital found that his appendix had burst days earlier, and the infection had spread throughout his abdomen, causing peritonitis, a deadly inflammation of the abdominal lining. In 1926, with no antibiotics, that meant one thing. He died there in Detroit at 1:26 p.m. on Halloween Day 1926. He was 52 years old. For decades, people repeated another detail, that Houdini died in room 401 of Grace Hospital. It sounds convincing, but there's no record of room numbers from 1926 that was ever found. The hospital building was torn down many years later, and surviving medical logs list only his name and time of death. So room 401, it does belong more to legend than fact. But believe it or not, Houdini's story, it did not end there. For the next 10 years, Bess Houdini, she held a séance every Halloween night. She'd light a candle beside his photograph and call out for him. The signal she waited for was their secret phrase. Rosabelle, believe. Each year, nothing. And then came the 10th séance, held on the rooftop of the Knickerbocker Hotel in Hollywood in 1936. It was storming, lightning streaking across the sky, rain hitting the roof in waves. And when the clock struck midnight, she called to him one last time. Still nothing. But finally she said, 10 years is long enough to wait for any man. She blew out the candle, and the flame of her hope went dark. But every year since, the light gets relit. From New York to Budapest, London to Vegas, magicians and fans, they hold seances every Halloween, calling for Houdini. In Appleton, Wisconsin, where he grew up, people once claimed to hear a voice through a radio. Rosabelle, believe. It turned out to be a ham radio prank, but the legend stuck. And maybe that's what Houdini would have wanted. You see, he spent his life proving that ghosts weren't real, yet became one himself in the world's imagination. The man who could escape anything still draws believers every Halloween, when the veil between the living and the dead feels just thin enough to reach across. So this Halloween, when you see the candles flicker and the air feels a little colder, remember Houdini's last act didn't end with his death. It began with it. Because every year, on the day he died, people still whisper the same words into the dark. Rosabelle, believe. These are Interesting Things with JC.